Welcome to episode 11 of This is Fitness. We missed last week, unfortunately, due to scheduling conflicts. Here again, my boy Jimmy. How are you, my friend?
What up, Chris?
What up, Jimmy?
I just got home from the dentist, so sorry about my top lip retardation. It's not moving, and my lisp is even worse than usual. So just don't mind me.
And the lips are a little bit reddish too.
Yeah, they fucked around my veneers and shit. So I apologize,
You
but
got
we'll
veneers.
caption so you can understand what I'm saying.
You got veneers.
Yeah,
Oh, oh,
half veneers, half crowns.
oh, I
Yeah, got
didn't.
no more gap.
No.
Remember I had the gap.
Oh, I do now that you said it.
Uh-huh. But yeah, they'll do. It's like it's not. You can't even see my teeth when I talk or smile.
Mm,
So it's not even for like aesthetics or trying to make yourself look good looking.
mm.
A lot of my teeth were worn down. So the two bottom ones have been ripped out completely. Blah blah blah. So we could just call it midlife crisis.
Tell you something funny while we're talking. For some reason today, the thought came to mind about when I first met you. I don't know why. Just sometimes you just do random shit in your head. And I thought about it. I thought, you know what? When I actually met you the first time, I'm going to say it was 212,
No,
possibly.
oh, no, when did you
Or
win your
it was,
national title?
no, it was 13 FitX, wasn't it?
Yeah,
FitX.
yeah.
Yeah, because 13, I won my first Aussie title at the end of the year. Yeah, I remember
I
that.
can. I remember that night like detail.
Yeah. So do I. I remember at the expo, this dude coming around the corner with just this set of shoulders, and he looked like just a set of shoulders in this shirt. And I was like, who the fuck's that? And they're going, that's Jimmy Sadek. I'm going, I've heard of him. And that was it. We got on and the rest is history.
And then was that the night? That night I came to the hotel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I remember who was there, what was doing what,
So do I.
who was doing who I spoke to, who I sat next to, what I
Mm,
left behind, what
mm.
time I got there, what time I left. I remember that
Me,
night like,
me and Gally were sharing a bedroom. We had two single beds in a room. Back then it was McNally was in the other.
mhm,
Um, and Laura Ketty.
yeah,
Positive. You're Laura Ketty too, right?
yeah,
Yeah. That was it. That was at Docklands, wasn't it? Docklands.
Dockland,
It
correct.
was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And then 2 weeks after that
Mm.
was when was it that year when Bryce and Gretchen went against each other?
Was that that must have been
No,
Australia?
that would have been the year after.
Right.
No, that year, no. Yes. And the year after that
Yeah.
is when, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was a good weekend in Melbourne. That
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah. I think I got down there on like the Thursday and I didn't leave. Actually, I intentionally missed the plane on the way home because we got too drunk. And then
Yeah.
it was like about 5 in the morning when you know what, I'll just worry about it another time.
Yeah. No. That was a good weekend. I really enjoyed that weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Speaking of
what,
weekends,
12 years ago now.
how was your weekend?
Look, it was a good change of scenery. We
Melbourne, huh?
yes. So I went down there on Friday afternoon with Mark Gretch and Sam Pearce.
Mm,
Um, arrived at like 6:30 in Melbourne,
mm,
checked in, relaxed a bit, then we went out to dinner
yeah.
to I'd say probably like my favorite restaurant in Melbourne called Maha, like a
Right.
fine dining Middle East
Nice.
hypey vibe. A friend of mine named Shane owns that. So he hooked us up there. We went there. We ate dinner, went home, we were all fucked. Um, went straight to bed, woke up Saturday. We went and trained in the morning. Then Sam had an appointment. I met Gretchen for brekkie. Then we just hung out all day. We went around the shops a little bit, whatever.
Mm,
And then just had a quiet early dinner. And then Sunday the show. So we
mm,
got to the show about like I dare say 9 on the dot, like when it starts, which is good. Didn't have
mm,
to go and set up or anything like that.
mm.
Went as spectators.
Yeah.
The venue I really fucked with. Like it was a long venue, and
Hmm.
the sponsors were in the same. You could see from where the sponsors were, you could see the stage.
Right.
Um, so everyone was kind of together, which was
Mm.
cool because you didn't have to sit at the seats. If you wanted to go check out the back, you could still go out the back, see the show.
Mm.
It was just good for mingling, and it had quite a big backstage area for the athletes.
Mm.
The lighting was really good too.
Mm.
Like it was a Melbourne Pavilion. Um,
Mm.
I don't know what proximity Melbourne is like the CBD is to that, but the venue was good. Um,
Where'd you stay? Did you stay in the CBD?
we stayed in the CBD, yeah, at the Meriton there,
Oh yeah.
which is pretty much smack bang. Because anywhere we wanted to go was about 10, 15 minutes
Yeah. Yeah.
in whatever direction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. They got Meriton there now. They never used to have Meriton, I'm pretty sure, in
Uh,
Melbourne. That was a catch.
Meriton's always safe. You just know
Yeah.
what you're going to
Well
get.
priced
Like,
too, man, most of the time too.
yeah, even though it was Anzac Day weekend, we got like, um, I got good priced flights down there. The hotel wasn't outrageous either. Um, look, it was a good weekend, man. Like I said, a good change of scenery. I didn't party at all. So I came back quite refreshed for the week, and um, that was good. I left. I had a good experience in Melbourne, which is fun, which is good. Got to see the show. I watched the guys physique. I missed the classic because I was out chatting, and then went back, sat down for the bodybuilding. And then as soon as bodybuilding finished, we left
Mm.
to the airport. Not the deepest nationals I've ever seen, or nationals or pro qualify I've ever seen.
Mm.
However, there was obviously standouts. Like James Newcomb,
Mm.
you want to say he's like almost the perfect 212.
Yeah.
You know, under 90, so he's still got 6 kilos to grow.
Mm.
If he puts that onto his upper body to match his legs, fucking look out.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Um,
He's
what happened? He's got a new
that's
coach
been
now
in the
too.
sorry,
He's got a new coach, or he's left his coach.
he has.
Yeah, there was a post about that
Oh, was
after
it?
the Nationals. Yeah, so I'm not going to name names or whatever because he's a fuckwit, but that's positive for him in my opinion. Um, I'll show you the post after.
Because I saw him do a post about his old coach. I just assumed that he was still with him. It was like an appreciation thing, but maybe
So that was like a see you later.
that was because he was giving him the boot, was it?
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So it was a good, it was a respectful post.
Mm.
And so moving forward, who knows with him? He's got like literally the world at his feet.
It's that he's been in the making for a long time. You know what? He's a nice guy. I shouldn't say actually a nice guy. It's like it's a surprise. But you know what? In today's society, it actually is surprising people are nice guys. I I met him. I'd met him before, but I met him. He was in Thailand one time when I was there and sort of saw him over the course of a week or two while I was over there. And, he was just like in a post-show phase where he was just obviously clean and just whatever. And the proportions of it, mate, that's always been a pro in the making. And I think for him to sort of take a step away for the amount of time he did shows a lot about his character and his patience that he wasn't, you know, um, he was only going to do it when it was right, if you get what I mean. So,
Yep.
but yeah, man, crazy. So
Mhm.
I was actually, I didn't know he was actually even competing. And then when I saw the Perth results, I saw it and I went, oh, well, you know, mm,
It actually took me a little while to like click
mm,
that it was him when I saw the Perth results. It was a couple of days later, and
mm.
it's come to the line. I'm like, fucking, it's changed. It's like from back in the day. So it's quite cool. Um, him basically, it was, I dare say it was him versus Mike Dawn in the overall. Um, Mike brought it in from the state show.
Yeah,
Came in like way harder. Um, look, I believe in doing so. Lost like that 3D-ness he had. Um, from the New South Wales, but like it's hard being Dawny when you got like Mike Dawn conditioning. Even though you come in 10% off your conditioning and so much bigger, everyone's like, you're not as hard as before.
mm,
You're still harder than everyone else. So Um, he 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 said he was the hardest he's ever been at this show. I saw him backstage; he's pretty fucking hard.
Mm.
But like I said, he lost his pop, which is I think that pop is just gonna just that muscle needs to mature. Um, and it'll take a couple of years, man. Like, and when he can hold that pop, and his V taper just looks that much better,
Mm.
like it'll be his turn. So
He's always been impressive. Like, I mean, I remember it was 2013, and when I won my first Aussie title in Sydney, that was at the end of the year, obviously. And Dawny won the juniors that year.
yeah,
And then remember the following year, 14, we both competed in 14. 14, he came out and did the 85s.
yeah.
And he won that as well the following year. So, I mean, the dude for a young guy has been around for a while, man. He's done a lot of shows and he's very experienced, you know. So it's and he's progressively just gotten bigger. It's only a matter of time for him too, you know what I mean? So
Like yeah,
because
okay.
I'm assuming if it was 13 and he was a junior, he would have been 21, 22 maybe. So Dawny probably couldn't be more than 34
34, 35.
there, I reckon. So
Yeah,
man, he's in his absolute prime as far as I'm concerned.
yes. I think I'd like to see him bigger. Like,
Mm,
not even bigger. Just I'd like to see him not dial it in as hard.
mm.
That I preferred the Sydney look. I respect and like really like the hardness and all that shit. Yeah.
Look, I'm talking. I'm not saying that I know because I don't know. I'm just talking speculatively. Do you think that the difference is, um, no diuretics in Sydney and then diuretics in the Nationals? Do you reckon that could have been what they did, or do you reckon they just tightened him up? Because
No,
obviously
no, I know he used diuretics both shows.
he did.
Yeah. But however,
Mm,
um, I didn't think that his body just raced after New South Wales as it does.
mm.
Um, and he didn't pull it in because he didn't like pull it up because he wanted to chase that hardness. Like
Fair enough.
it's a fucking we're splitting straws because
Yeah, but that's
gold
what
class
happens when you
conditions.
that's what happens when you're dealing with someone that's elite, though. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like, when you're elite, that's the only thing you've got to split. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I mean,
like yeah.
everything
I'd like to
everything you're
see him
saying
take
is
a good
complimentary.
18 to 2 years off, 18 months off to 2 years,
Mm,
and just like go big, get big.
mm.
Because conditions never going to be a problem. He'll always be in shape,
No, he's
but he
always been
needs
in
just
shape.
that little bit more muscle,
Mm,
and that'll just push him over the line, in my opinion.
mm.
So, um, what else? The super heavyweight class, that
Yeah,
was that was quite deep and
right,
good, and they're quite big too. What Tony said? Tony said to me, "There's five guys in the supers that were over 115."
right. And
So I think, and
who
four
won
of
the
them were in
supers?
shape. Huh?
Who won the supers?
Ooh, I should know
Because
this.
look, correct me if I'm wrong. When I looked at the Instagram
Yeah.
on the Sunday, it looked like that there was a category missing photo wise. It looked like it went from heavyweight, excuse me, heavyweight to I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I
No,
just
I've got the two supers up here. We haven't got the names. It was between the guy who won New South Wales
mm.
and they're not tagged. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, the other one would have been Liam because he's from Queensland. Remember?
Yeah. Yes. Did the fucking. Oh, hang on. Was it in here? No, I haven't tagged him. No, Liam did not place for the supers.
How many?
I didn't speak to Liam backstage. He was sick all week
Right.
and sick the week before Queensland, poor guy. So he was just kind of running this out, wanting it to be done so to go back to get healthy again and go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, it's a shame. He looked good.
Yeah, man, that guy's if that guy can come in like nailed and not be sick and whatever, like
Mm.
his physique reminds me of like Evans Stepani.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I get you. He's a big unit, man. And the thing is, I've
Yeah,
said it before, he's an excessively strong human being as well. Like he's just one
he
of those
looks strong.
people that
Yeah,
just he can lift a lot of fucking weight, man. Like, you know, so mm, he looked good in the Queenslands from the photos that I saw. So yeah, okay.
yeah. Well, that was the show in
And,
a nutshell.
and
Um,
you didn't watch the ladies, obviously, then.
didn't watch the ladies.
Yeah.
Um, men's physique. Uh, even if I knew the guy's name, I wouldn't be able to pronounce it. Um, he's just tall, tall, and he was the hardest.
Yeah.
Um, it's like yeah,
Mhm.
and look, to be fair, the I had seen better competition in the physique and the classic, so
Right.
which makes me look forward to season C.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but look again, like I walked away from the show motivated to fucking be like, I want to do a show
Mm-hmm.
as we do each time.
Yeah. Yeah. Go back home and start eating even cleaner.
I haven't had a burger this week, eh?
Fuck, that's saying
I'm
something.
on.
Mm. So what's the go? We're gonna do this. We're gonna egg each other on here and get really in
Look,
shape or what?
I looked up the date for Nationals. Nationals is on the 27th of September.
Yeah, yeah.
I always get in shape for my birthday anyway, or try to.
Mm.
So I, I'm just gonna try. We'll see. I'm just gonna make sure. I ideally, in theory, when motivation's high, it's easy, yeah. But
Mm.
when life gets in the way, work gets in the way, whatever, it's whether we can stick to it because the motivation has to be correct.
The difference is that when there's not a definitive reason for it and you're doing it for the greater good, right?
Yeah,
The difference, if you've got a date as like a show date, it changes everything, man. You know, the
yeah.
urgency increases, everything increases. Like, I mean, you know, yeah.
Uh,
I just find it fun to do it. Look, I like following structure regardless, man. I do it every
yeah.
day, but I'm you know,
I look. I'm going to set the goal
mm,
to be in shape for my birthday. Right. Everything will be the same as it always is with food, etc. Except I'm going to stop eating little bits of shit on the side,
mm,
ice creams at night,
mm,
shit like that.
mm,
And then I think as the momentum builds and 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 the physique starts to change again, I might increase my motivation. I've dedicated the next 8 weeks to push.
right.
I don't know how many weeks out is it? Let's have a look.
It's about 2021, I think, maybe now, or something like I looked last night. Don't, it could be anywhere from 22 to 19 weeks from the national
Let's go.
show.
I go to the month, right? Month, year. All right, April. So just call it the 1st of May.
Yeah.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, you're right on. 21 weeks. So that's nationals, right?
Mm,
So deduct 4 weeks to the state show,
yep, it could be that.
which brings it to say 17. So I'm gonna give myself 6 to 8 weeks to get big as fuck. I'm gonna let the handbrake off the food because I generally try to undereat the majority of the time because I don't want to get too heavy
Yeah.
because it sucks to be at work too heavy, right?
Mm,
But I might, we'll just try and push it the next 6 weeks,
mm.
see
Okay.
how heavy I can get.
Mm,
I'm not going to sacrifice, I'm not going to get fat,
mm,
but we'll just see how far I can fill out. And then I might then put the foot down from, I don't know. We used to diet from what, like 16 weeks or something, didn't we?
yeah.
16 weeks, 14 weeks, something like that.
Mm, mm.
Like you'd need probably 8 weeks to get in shape.
That's what I reckon I need. 10. I like to do it over 10. 10
Yeah.
to 12.
I just want to build. I just want to get the density back and get the training back on the
Mm.
way it should be, and
Mm.
all that kind of thing.
I actually had a compliment in the gym today. I was training this morning. That's
Yeah.
why actually, you know what? You did me a favor today by moving the normally I wouldn't be able to move the time back, but my 3:45 cancelled today, so I could do it. And then they gave me more time in the middle of the day. They didn't have to rush my training, which is really cool. But I was in the gym today, and this dude I was just chatting to, he wouldn't believe that I was 96 kilos. Yeah, like he just thought, So I ended up jumping on the scales. He thought I was bullshitting him. So I'll take that as a compliment. He thought I was heavier, obviously,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's you in a nutshell.
in general.
You're
Yeah.
bigger than what
Yeah.
you are, and
Yeah.
leaner than what you are.
Yeah. So what else?
So what? You're 96 today.
Yeah.
So what would you try to push your weight up first a little bit? And see
If
if
we
that.
do it properly and structurally, man, if we do that, yeah, for sure. I'll just push it. I mean, with what I'm sitting at the moment, I could be 100 pretty quickly if I
Yeah.
wanted to be. Because I'm not exactly eating that much. Like I'm eating enough, but
Yeah.
I think that what I'm eating is pretty much ballpark maintenance, to be honest. So I think if I just increased maybe 500 calories, I'd put weight on pretty quickly.
Because I want to do it. I'm going to go 6 to 8 weeks, and then if I can be 100%, I
Yeah.
can pass the reins again to someone new.
Mm, mm,
But I want to see, like, I want to sneakily get to 140,
mm.
and it's like it's not outrageously outrageous because I got to 139 over Christmas.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. It's not outrageous. That's why I'm laughing. But I just can't even. Dude, the thought of being over 100 for me is just it feels uncomfortable, like literally. And I couldn't even comprehend being that heavy.
Like I'm 131 or about 129, anywhere that like that around now today,
Mm,
and it's quite comfortable to be honest.
mm,
I couldn't run a marathon.
nah.
Um, I,
And
I
tell me,
could probably I
yeah.
could run up the beach.
Right. Well, tell me about your training. What's going on with that?
Um, okay, so what I've done this week
Mm,
is I'm putting so I'll do like a pre-exhaustion first.
hmm
I'll work at numbers around the like 15, 15, 15, 10, 10 until
hmm
I'll just roll down the stack. I'll use it as a bit of a warm up.
mm,
Once I miss 10, I'll call it and might do another set if it feels good.
mm,
Otherwise, I'll just move on. No back this week, next week, I'm not doing no pump sets, no back offs,
hmm
no drop sets. I'm just gonna let
mm,
shit fill up.
mm,
After I do that, kind of my warm up, I'll go to the next one. The first set will be 25 reps. And I'm trying to fail about 25 to 30
mm,
because I don't want to get too, if I do it like this, I'll get too strong,
mm,
too fast, and then something tendon will fucking go. Whether it be fucking bicep tendon, the shoulder, elbow, something, right?
mm,
So if I try and do kind of a fatigue set first, as like another like a feel set for that first exercise set, then I
mm,
can just do a couple sets anywhere 8 to 12,
mm,
bang it out, and then I'll do anywhere from 2 to 4 again.
mm,
Because I don't like the tempo, Chris. You know that,
mm.
right? So, and then I'll just continue to there. I'll go and do another one. Um, that'll be more like maybe a 10, 8, 6 type of
Mm,
heavier movement.
mm,
And then I might finish with another high rep set, couple
mm,
heavies, just something like that. I'll go by how I feel.
mm,
And I'm making sure that I do this week, like whatever exercise I fucking hate for that body part.
mm,
Generally, that's what I need to do,
mhm,
or I'm not that good at. I'm making sure I'm putting it in.
mm,
And then I'll just build. I'll just build from there. Look, and I don't need to be that much bigger. I just need to be a little bit more dense in certain areas, and I like to be rounder.
mm,
My arms got to be bigger, my back's got to be bigger and more detailed. With back, I got back. Friday,
Mm.
I'm just going back to what you sent me
Mm.
2, 3 months ago because that worked.
Yeah.
We were doing
Yeah.
that. So the two back sessions are easy.
Mm.
Then everything else, I'll just do it how I like to do it by feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm. I wrote myself a program. Again, well, I always do, but I did those 2 broken weeks. We had short weeks. I basically just went in there and just did whatever, and it was just shit. I just hate training without following something. So I wrote myself a structure, and I've executed it this week completely. Oh, actually, last week and this was started this week. So I did it last week, and I got it right. Got the weights pretty close to right. It's a real um, myofibrillar style, very, very typical. You know, 4 reps, 6 reps, 8 reps, 8 reps, eccentrics, 4 second eccentrics, 3 second eccentrics, 2 second eccentrics. Um, it doesn't look like a lot on paper. There's only about probably 6 movements in each program. It doesn't look like much, but fuck it, it comes at you, you know. So, and I'm getting them done. Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, I'm OCD, right? So obviously, like I put a playlist on, right, which pretty much is I just pretty much play live Nirvana, right? So don't really, I love all of it. It sounds good, it's energetic, and the music just blends. It's like a background thing. I don't really realize where I'm at. I just like all the songs. It just sounds like one big flowing piece, right? Because I find if I really like certain songs, I get distracted by the song and I want to listen to a certain part of the song and then I sort of lose my concentration. So that's why I do that. But one thing I'm noticing, I'm getting these sessions done in just under 60 minutes, like just right on the button.
Yeah.
And they're like, they could be 55, 57, 58. So obviously when I've written the program timing wise, everything's pretty much balanced. But it's like the album that I listen to goes right through and then it starts on the next song that's outside the album. Once that song starts, I'm always doing abs. It's kind of really weird. Like it's kind of
Nah, that's cool.
it's
You
so
got the
cool.
timing
Yeah.
down
So
pat.
it's all meeting up. So yeah. Appetite's way bigger because of it too. Like, fuck man, today I came home after training. I cooked chicken on the barbecue. Then I got that, saved a couple skewers, chopped up a couple of skewers, and then made an omelette with shallots and tomato and the chicken. It was amazing. And then one of my clients and long fucking time mate is Lebo. He's got this amazing dip kitchen where they make all these amazing dips. Fucking incredible. So he just came around this morning and I got beetroot hummus, garlic delight and another sort of normal hummus. So I had a couple of pieces of wholemeal, sorry, gluten-free bread, which is fucking
With the garlic,
beetroot hummus on the top of it. Unbelievable. So
man.
yeah, it's been a good day, man. Got a lot of
And
work to do.
like it's good when your training's on point because everything else rolls.
100%.
And that's what I'm looking forward to getting. I get it. I reckon I get out about a 15%, 10 to 15% production wise.
Yeah.
I get greater production throughout the day if I'm
Because of
on point with my food and training,
mm, mm.
which is I kind of need that with work at the moment.
I 100% agree with that. I've always said that. But you know what? If you could measure my training intensity and output when I'm not following a program and I go in there and wing it versus when I write something proper to follow, I would love to be able to measure. Um, I'd love to be able to measure the intensity difference because I'm going to say it could be up to 30% difference for me.
So
That's how much difference it makes. It's like totally different thing. I get to the end of the workout, I feel so accomplished that I've done it. I'm tired, I'm sweating. Whereas the other one, you kind of like meander along. I'm not following timing on, like this, I'm following exact timing. You know what I mean? Everything's efficient. I'm also, because of that, and the urgency's there to train like that, I will also avoid talking to people even more so. I'll just like wave to them and just make it known that I'm actually just not going to fucking stop, you know?
mm,
Yeah, so it's good.
I still think it's so funny that we train totally different.
Yeah. Mm,
Oh, it's hilarious.
mm,
I was talking to somebody about that the other day
yeah.
when they were asking me about whatever. I'm like, just man, just fucking find what you like. Find what you like first, and then steer in the way that you
Mm.
need to go from there.
I think I think you know, without putting too many stringent parameters on it, I think that most people indirectly don't understand, but they do shuffle between sarcoplasmic styles and myofibrillar styles, but they don't really know it because they don't really fucking read, basically.
Yeah,
But I think the premise is so long as you change the programming and you cover both facets enough, because obviously with the sarcoplasmic, the higher reps, the less rest, like what you're doing, you know, that type of stuff there, that's increasing sarcoplasmic fluid in the muscle. But also the biggest thing it's doing is it's driving more glycogen into the muscle,
yeah,
right? So obviously, you know, if we were going to use insulin, it would be a pretty good scenario to use it in, right? But the thing is too, because it's more pump orientated, you're stretching, you're getting more volume, stretching fascia, um, and then myofibril is obviously targeting the myofibrils. So I think so long as you're attacking both things in
Do
different
you,
phases,
do
then
you think?
you're good. Yeah.
Do you
Sorry.
think if you've done so, like we've been training for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've done 20 years of like, and we've both been training for more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
When
Mm.
I was young, I used to like lifting heavy.
Yep.
So it was more of my training style was around the 6 reps, the 8 reps, 4 reps,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So is it something to say that you could say, all right, that work
Mm.
for me has been done. Yeah.
Good
Plus,
question.
I trained natural for 7 to 8 years
Mm-hmm.
before all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as long as there is a heavy one, just we'll call it one free weight heavy movement or just one heavy movement
Mm-hmm.
per workout to hold that
Mm-hmm.
density, and then you just fucking just blow everything up around it.
Mm-hmm.
Could you get away? Is that a feasible way to train moving forward when you take into aspects like
Mm.
recovery? Because if you obviously you got to go, okay, if I'm not sleeping that much, I can't go into that hole
Mm.
of the CNS.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so I could get away with less
Mm.
of that lower volume thing, that lower
Mm.
volume stuff.
Mm. Can I answer that in just a slightly different angle, but it will answer it at the same
Yeah,
time? If I could go back in time right now, right? Because when you're younger, you don't have injuries, you know, you fucking like rubber bands, you can
yeah,
just lift heavy shit, right? Which we all did, right? If I was to change one thing about the way I lifted when I was younger, I still would have lifted heavy, right? Because you got less fear, you know, you haven't got years and years of wear and tear on shoulders and knees and fucking elbows and all that sort of stuff, right?
yeah,
The only thing I wouldn't change the way, the heaviness in which I lifted. I just would have just been a tiny bit more deliberate in the eccentric, right? And I'm not talking about long eccentric.
yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just saying that I probably would have done a 2 second eccentric on every movement, just so I controlled that phase just a little bit better than what I used to, because it stops you from throwing the weight round. So would I change that aspect of my training looking back on it now? No, I would still train heavy the way I did. The natural progression for me was as I got older, I had injuries, I had shoulders, knees, all these sorts of things. And also it came a point in time where I just really wasn't, the fear was there about injuries and I wasn't really getting stronger, right? And I was like fucking in my 40s, right? And I wasn't getting stronger, right? And I thought, well, you know what am I going to do? Keep trying to get stronger and then blow something, right? So it kind of led me naturally to training with maximum amounts of weight with these tempos. And tempos should be adhered to in all forms of training. It doesn't matter what they are. They should be listed. You should be, you know, even if it's a 1010, it doesn't matter. It's something it's a valid thing that needs to be into a program. But I think that the injuries basically sort of shifted me into that style of training. And then my body really responded to it too, because it responded to it early. But then obviously you saw when I was in my prime, competing prime in my 40s.
Yeah.
Well, I was training this way then, and it also gave me longevity. So if I can go back and answer your question, I'd still train heavy the way I did when I was younger, and then there was like a point where it just kind of switched across. And not that I don't train as heavy as I can now, but it's not, you know,
Yeah, that
I'm
makes
not
sense.
trying to lift maximum benches anymore like I once upon a time. Like, I mean, seriously, I mean, I'm probably 20 kilos outside of what I used to bench for reps when I was in my, early to mid 40s. You know what I mean?
You know, if I did a bench press,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would not be confident going under 100 kilo of an actual bench press because I haven't done that movement in fucking years, 10 years.
You used to close grip bench, okay, in the my gym, the training facility, right? Back then, you used to close grip bench like it was fucking rubber bands,
Yeah,
right? 140 kilos, and you used to just play, used to do this with it.
yeah, 10 years ago.
I
Yeah,
know, I know.
my best bench ever is 6 plates,
Mm,
but I was like 26.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's but that's see, that's where I'm talking about. Like, that's a pivot. Like back then when we used to train at the facility,
Mm,
there was nothing that I thought that I could lift everything.
yeah, yeah.
That's when
You
those
you
years,
were
those
strong.
last years that I was competing, that's when we were doing the fucking 82 kilo dumbbells at Riley's.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And shit, like it's, but I think as you get older, also your quality of contraction is way better.
100%. It's like everything, man. With experience and with time, you learn, and there's more and more things you learn along the way. Like, I mean, I was having this conversation with someone today. Like, I could always move weight, but the thing is, there were certain chest movements where I just don't believe that my contraction
Mhm.
had the fullest um, amount of potential, let's just say. Like, it
Yeah,
was always like, I don't know, man, I just can't really squeeze this thing the way that I really feel like I should. You know what I mean? And I look at it now, all these years later, now I'm doing these movements and my contractions are so much more intense than what they used to be. And it's just about learning and about just getting better at doing it. That's what it is.
do you
Um,
remember watching the videos? Like when we used to have VHSs and DVDs and
mm,
the pros training, like the battle for the Olympians and all that, right?
mm,
And you used to watch like the older pros,
yeah,
biceps of like 10 kilo dumbbells.
yeah,
You go to the gym and lift 12 and go, this motherfucker, like, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Now you understand, thinking back, that's all they had to do. They just need to contract the fuck out of that muscle,
Mm.
regardless of weight.
But then you've got the anomalies like Coleman, right, who shifted huge amounts of weight, but also had this uncanny ability to obviously
Yes.
squeeze that same weight through the concentric phase. Um, and that doesn't happen all the time because I mean, how many people out there, how many powerlifters out there do you know that are insanely strong that could squat 300 kilos that really have not got much in the way of legs at all and
Yep.
not got much in the way of everything? It doesn't always equate to muscle. That's the point. But then, as I said, the elements fuse and you get someone like Coleman,
Yeah.
benching 5 plates, and the dude's getting quality contractions throughout the concentric phase of the
Yeah.
movement, and you know that he is. You can
Yeah.
see, and the dude just keeps growing.
And that's where you get the those online that are like super, like you have to comply to 100% form.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that's easy to do in a textbook, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But you also have to combine the element if you're trying for hypertrophy to contract the muscle.
You have to lift some shit too. That's the thing,
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm not going to say that you got to sacrifice, all that for that. But there comes a point in time is like, do you have 100% technique and move no weight, or do you have 85% technique and actually move some weight? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be a sweet
There'll
spot.
be a bit
I
of give
mean,
and take.
well, I mean, obviously, if you could do both, it's the best scenario. But you know, um, it's one of those things, right? We've all got muscle groups, right? That you look at someone else that may not even be as developed as you are, right? And they've got this ability to contract a muscle that we can't contract properly, right? And I've got them too, man. Like my whole life, I've struggled with certain areas. You know what I mean? Like, despite my arms being bigger than average for my size. Biceps were always, I fucking hated training them, man. I couldn't squeeze them properly. I couldn't contract the fuckers properly. Just never had that same, when you'd watch people train them and they would squeeze them and you could just see it just turning
Yeah.
into a ball and just going all gnarly. I just never had that same feeling about it. But yet, tries, I could basically just sit on the end of a bench and put my body weight against the table for 5 minutes and my triceps would just blow up. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, into every adult.
yeah. Yeah. So, everyone's got it. We've all got it. But, yeah. Mm,
If you had to list,
mm,
all right, we'll end it here.
yeah.
All right, talking about training, if you had to list in order of most importance,
Hmm.
and you had
Mm,
the eccentric,
mm,
choice of exercise,
hmm.
contraction
Hmm.
of muscle,
Hmm.
100% form,
Hmm.
and is 100% form and range of motion the same thing?
No, well, range of motion is the actual like length of.
Okay, and range of motion. So eccentric, choice of exercise, uh, eccentric, choice of exercise, range of motion, 100% form, and what's the other one? Choice of exercise? I said that.
Now you said that.
Oh, I said it. Okay.
So what's the question? What you got to choose one?
Rank in order out of those five things.
Oh, geez.
The eccentric, what's most important? The eccentric,
Hmm.
uh, exercise selection, range of motion, form, and contraction. Actually, let's take away range of motion because you put that under
Yeah.
form and
Yeah.
add weight.
Okay. Okay. Technique, weight. What else do we have?
Contraction,
Yeah.
uh, eccentric, and choice of movement.
Technique, weight, choice of movement. Um,
Then you got contraction.
you could go either way on that one. Eccentric and contraction. Yeah. I think the first couple, I think if you do good technique, then you move weight, and then the exercise selection, I'd like to have it higher, but I think exercise selection depends on um, the person's posture, number one, because some people can just squat, for example, and just grow glutes and hamstrings and legs just from squatting because of
Mhm.
the way their pelvis lines up. It might be slightly anterior position, so they get more hip flexion. Um, Yet other people don't get the same amount of growth. So I mean, you can sit there until the cows come home and go, deadlifting is the holy grail. Unless that person, there are people posturally that are just made to get more out of those movements. So I think that exercise selection, that's why I've got it at third, because I think it's individual. But technique, weight, exercise selection, and you know what? Toss a coin on the last two. Contraction, contraction, and then eccentric phase. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. My number
Anything,
one would
anything
be
you'd shuffle?
huh?
Anything you'd shuffle around?
I'd put steroids first.
Oh, I was waiting. I knew something had to come somewhere, right?
Nah, look, to be fair, I would have thought that
Mm.
you would have leaned more heavily into the eccentric on your list.
I think the thing is the eccentric for me, right, is the reason why I go on about, well, I mean, the reason why I talk about it is because um you can control so much more weight in the negative phase, right?
Yeah.
It's, like if a person can bench 100 kilos and that's what they can bench, there's a fairly good chance that they're going to be able to lower 140 or something like that
Yeah.
through the eccentric. So obviously taxing that part of the range or that part of the movement and making sure it's taxed makes sense to me, right? Because I mean, obviously, if you're pushing 100 kilos through concentric, but you're doing a fast eccentric, you're not really taxing it through the strongest part of your range of motion. So that's the reason why I'm going about that. The other thing is I think that training with deliberate eccentrics can also reduce the risk of injury because,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest thing as well. Like I think that a lot of people that do these pec tears and shit, unless you like that, I don't even know what that guy's name was that did that ridiculous one a couple of years ago, tore his pec out of the sternum, whatever it was, from the incline bench on YouTube. Um, a lot of the time they've just got a slack movement from the top of range and they let the bar drop to their chest with pretty much no control. And then when they get to the bottom of range, they engage all of a sudden. And then when they engage there, that's when it pings, you know? So I'm not saying it mitigates getting an injury altogether. It doesn't, but it reduces the risk. So
If
that's,
you've actually followed those 5 things that I said, though,
yeah.
you like you would almost have the perfect workout each time
Mm.
and the safest possible workout.
Right.
Obviously, freak things happen. However,
Mm.
you'd be setting yourself up like to be in the best position possible.
Mm. And I think the biggest thing as well, I think you need to have it written down. That's the other thing. You need to have a target, you know. Yeah.
Back on that.
Well, everyone's different with that. Like for
Everyone's
me
different. Look,
personally,
I think I believe the
mm,
vast majority of people need to write this shit down.
yeah.
However, okay, if I tracked my workouts, would I be bigger, stronger, etc.?
Mm,
Maybe.
mm,
Would I be bored out of my brains? 100%.
mm.
So,
Yeah,
in saying that, I will substitute maybe
yeah,
with 100% bored out of my brains
yeah,
and risk it for the biscuit,
yeah,
as opposed to
yeah,
doing something I fucking despise.
yeah. And that comes down to personality types too. Like for me,
Correct.
I just know if I don't have a number written on the page and I'm at, and I've got to get 12 reps and I'm at rep 6 and I'm struggling, right? If I don't know the number 12 is already on the page from the week before, right? There's no way I'm going to get to 12 when I'm at 6 and I'm fucking struggling. But the fact that I know that I got 12 the week before means that I will or get past it. That's what
Yeah.
it does to me. That's the biggest thing it does to me is that.
Do you get to that number and then stop though?
No.
Okay.
And the other thing that I do as well is that the most important weights in the gym, right, is I mean everyone always doesn't think about it. The most important weights in the gym are the 1 1/4s and the 2.5s. So they are, right? If you can just I'm not going to say it works like this mechanically, it doesn't, but like if you could put 1.25 kilos on a movement each side every week or every second week over an 8-week block, have a think about it. You're putting 10 kilos on the movement. I mean, that's progression. So I don't know. People just seem to omit the small subtleties that are actually, in the scheme of it, aren't really small things at all. They're actually quite big things. So I think things like that, and that's the reason why I need targets, because a lot of the time when I finish my workout, I will rate it too. So I write it all down like I did today. And there were 2 movements today where I put arrows facing upwards underneath it, which means that you need to put more weight on here next week, right? So, and that's the first thing. I'll look at that arrow and go, right, this is what I did last week. So I'm going to go another 2.5 kilos or whatever it is, depending on the size of the movement. If it's a leg press, you're not putting 2.5 kilos on it. But, if you're doing a shoulder press or or something, a bench or an incline bench or something like, that's a valid amount. So,
Yeah, look, I agree. I agree for 75% of the population, and I think beginners especially because they have so much more room to move. In terms of progression,
yeah,
I think it'll fast track the progression too.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yes. Well, all right. Well, I'm going to have to call it. Unfortunately, my friend. We always get into juicy bits right at the end, but
no, that's okay.
my client's outside, so I
Go take them. We'll rendezvous next week.
we
Next
will.
week we'll be back in the studio and we'll have some time.
All right, done.
All right, Christopher. Have a
All
great
right,
night.
boy. Thank
I will
you.
see you later.
All right, thanks, man. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Welcome to This is Fitness. the podcast for the bodybuilding and all things fitness, bringing you real life version of the fitness industry from people who've lived and breathed it. We explore new trends and serious topics while dispelling myths and calling out stupidity within the fitness industry. Jimmy and Chris offer their unique insight, delivered with healthy sarcasm. Let's crush those fitness goals together. This is Fitness. And now your hosts, Jimmy Sadek and Chris Thomas. And this is Fitness. With over 60 combined years in the fitness world, Jimmy and Chris have walked the walk and are here to share what really works. Their passion is to explore new trends, dispel myths, and call out the stupidity within the industry. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find Chris on social media at Chris Thomas Alpha Ethos and his website at alpha-ethos.com. Find Jimmy on social media at jimmysadak.designercoaching and his website at www.jimmysadak.com. See you next time on This is Fitness.